Hey everybody, Matt here with another video of a most adequate collection. Today I kind of wanted to focus a little bit on kind of where my collection I think is heading. Since picking up the collecting bug once again, I've decided that I really wanted to make a conscious effort to be very intentional with my collection and really avoid some of the pitfalls that I fell into in the past. A big one being that a lot of my collecting budget in the past got spent on an unopened product, which at the time I had a lot of fun opening. I did get some enjoyment out of that. I was blogging at the time, so I got blog content from that, so that certainly served its purpose then. But here now, I guess 10, 12 years later, I have some cool things to show for it, but I also have a few boxes of, for lack of a better word, junk. So a lot of the hits that I got were single swatch jerseys of whatever mediocre rookie was around that year, which is worth less than the cardboard it's printed on nowadays. And not that value has to be the only focus or goal of my collection, because it certainly isn't. I certainly buy what I buy with the idea that I'm never going to sell it, but at the same time, I do want there to be some value and purpose to it. So in consuming a lot of the YouTube content that I've been consuming over the last couple months, I see a lot of the collecting focuses and goals that other collectors have, and the one common thing has to do with Hall of Famers, and I like that too. That's kind of something I've always been aware of and kind of had my radar on for in the past when I'm buying singles and already open product. I hadn't really focused too much on it though, but it is something that appeals to me because being being more of a vintage adjacent collector, I certainly can't afford to go pre-war at all. Post-war, I'm not there yet, although I've gotten a few things here and there. But it is doable, and the nice thing is that it's an always evolving subject. Every year, we get more players added to it, and certainly in more modern players, you get them to be more affordable. So this year for the Hall of Fame, we've got three players going in: Jeff Kent, Carlos Beltran, and Andrew Jones, and all of them who have cards that are on the affordable side. So it's something that's always evolving and something I can always build on. But I wanted to combine that with another aspect of my collection that I really enjoy, which is autograph collecting. And whether it's TTM, in person, or, you know, pack pulled autograph cards, I've always liked something that the player signed. Now, in the idea being is that a player has held that card or helmet or bat or ball or puck in their hand when they signed it. Now, of course, with sticker product, you can't always get that. But at the very least, even if he hasn't held that physical card, you know, or at least trust that the ink was placed where it was placed by that athlete. So I kind of combined those, and what I wanted to do was put together, like a lot of the collectors have, with a Hall of Fame autographed one. Now, specifically to me, I do have some balls, I have some pucks, I have some photos, but for the purposes of this collection, I'm going to go with primarily just cards. And with wanting a card of every or as many Hall of Famers as I could get, I do want to put a few qualifications on it. Now, there's some certain things that I'm okay with. Like, it doesn't have to just be a card. There can be a jersey swatch or a bats piece or some kind of memorabilia on there. I have no problem with that at all. And I would prefer on card autographs, but if it has to be a sticker, then I'm fine with that too. Especially if they're able to do it in a way that looks really good. Either that it's hidden or it's framed in a way that really makes it look good. I'm okay with that. Other qualifications, though, is for this purpose, I only want that one player featured on the card. And I do have a few cards that I'm going to show that don't qualify for this collection, mostly just because I want to show the cards off because I think they're really awesome. So only want one player on the card. So this card from, I think, 2013 Gypsy Queen, one of the highlights or spotlights or whatever you want to call it of my collection. is this guy right here. From Gypsy Queen, we've got a triple relic, triple autograph of Cubs greats Billy Williams, Ernie Banks, and Ryne Sandberg. And this, like I was saying, in a case of where I don't mind the stickers. I think for one, it doesn't really stand out. It isn't obvious that they're stickers. But two, I think logistically it's just too difficult to get a card like this in the hands of 3 different players to sign them. It's easier to send out the sticker sheet and get them back, and you can affix them at the distribution place or factory or office or wherever they put them together. And despite this being a sticker, I did get this when the product was released. It was a redemption. So even though it was a sticker product, they didn't, I guess, have enough stickers at the time to make this work. Now also, I do have the single Billy Williams from the same set. That one is on card. So Gypsy Queen did have on-card autographs in their product, but with things like this, where you're dealing with multiple players, logistically, it's just easier to go sticker with them. As great of a card as it is, and it certainly is, it doesn't qualify for this part of my collection, just because it has all 3 of them on there. Another thing is I want it to be team specific. You know what I mean by that is within each player's Hall of Fame plaque, for the most part, they are featured wearing the hat of a specific team. And I think it would be kind of when I was thinking of how I wanted to handle this, I was kind of leaning towards maybe a team that either I know them for, or maybe a team that I felt that they had the most production or star value or time with. But it can kind of be a little arbitrary sometimes. Like a player like Nolan Ryan, for example. You could make an argument for each of his 4 teams as that being the team that he is known for. He got the World Series with the New York Mets. He threw some no-hitters with the Angels. Threw more no-hitters with the Astros. Got his 300th win, 5,000 strikeout, and more no-hitters with the Texas Rangers. And for me, I grew up in Granbury, Texas, which is south of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so I got to see Nolan Ryan in person as a 10, 11-year-old kid. So to me, he's a Ranger, but to someone who grew up in Houston, he might be an Astro. To someone who grew up in California or New York, he might be with that. So I think the easiest way to handle that is just simply go with whatever team they are pictured with on their Hall of Fame plaque. So a card like this with a jumbo swatch and an autograph of Paul Molitor wouldn't qualify. The reason being is that he's featured on this card as a member of the Minnesota Twins, which he has a strong connection to. I think he grew up in Minnesota, but he also played later on in his career for the Twins. I think he got some of his career milestones with the team. He later on would go on to manage the team for, I think, 4 years. So he certainly has a strong Minnesota connection. However, as a player, he is mostly known as a Milwaukee Brewer. He played for the team between, I think, 1978 and 92. But then he moved on, and number was retired. Number 4 was retired by the Brewers. He's on their Wall of Honor, so the team recognized him. But he did go to the Blue Jays for a couple seasons, won a World Series with the Blue Jays in '93. Played for a few seasons with Minnesota too. But at the end of the day, his Hall of Fame plaque features him as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers. So despite me having a Paul Molitor autograph solo, it doesn't work, because for this collection, I need to have a Milwaukee Brewers autographed Paul Molitor card. So those are a couple that qualify. The other thing, there are players that played in the majors and then go on to manage the team, or manage a team, and ended up getting into the Hall of Fame as a manager. And I do want to separate that, in that if they were elected to the Hall of Fame because of their accomplishments as a manager, I want their card to be of them as a manager. So I've got one card here that I'm going to show that I have that is of a manager, and it does work. The tricky thing is not all of the managers, especially nowadays, have cards of them in there as a manager. So we'll tackle that bridge when we get there, I suppose. But anyways, here we are. Let's get started. These are the cards that do qualify for this part of my collection. First of all, and as a Cubs fan, this should be first of all, going alphabetically, but it just so happened that number one is Ernie Banks. Mr. Cub got a sticker autograph here from Panini Playoff Prime Cuts. Serial numbered 7 out of 10, so just 10 copies of this. And I'm not sure if they made it rare because of the jersey swatch, but if you look at the bottom, it does have a seam going across the bottom of it. But Ernie Banks was inducted in 1977, was known as Mr. Cub, played for the team from 1953 to 1971. Number 14 was retired by the team. He was named to the Cubs Hall of Fame, and he does have a statue of him right outside Wrigley Field. So this is number one, and just a great looking card. I have a couple Ernie Banks autographs, the one I showed, and then I have a third one. I believe it's from that Hillshire Farms set that they did, 15, 20 some years ago, where I guess for a small fee and some box tops or something to that extent, you could send away. And they had, I don't know if they were all Hall of Famers at the time, but I think they all eventually got in. But baseball legends, on-card autographs, great-looking cards. I've got that one somewhere. I just couldn't find it. Next up, this one is kind of goes into the idea that even though I have rules, I reserve the right to change my rules for any reason or no reason at all. So this one is what I'm going to put in there. Andre Dawson, another Cubs legend, in 1987 MVP. He was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2010, and where this exception comes in is that upon his induction, I don't know if nowadays it's different, but I know back then at least, I don't know who it was or if it was a committee of people who decided, but the individual player didn't get a say in which cap he wore on his plaque. So Andre Dawson is inducted as a Montreal Expo. He has a Montreal Expos hat on. But as you can see, I'm violating my own rule already because I've got him here as a Cub. And I'm breaking my own rule for two reasons. One, because I feel like it. But two, I think there's an argument to be made, especially considering that in 2023, Andre Dawson wrote a letter to the Hall of Fame to formally request that his hat be changed to that of a Chicago Cubs. The reason being is that he just simply felt more of a connection to that team and to that city as a player from the time that he spent there. I think longevity-wise, he played more years with Montreal, but he did get his MVP with the Cubs. He did have that great 1989 season with them. And so he has a personal affiliation or affinity for the team, more so than the Expos, and maybe it has to do with the team not even being around anymore. But either way, I don't know. I'm breaking my own rule, but so be it. Next up, we have another. I think he did play for the Cubs for a little bit, but that's not what he's known for. But we got Ralph Kiner. This one is similar to the others, a sticker autograph. The interesting thing here is this is Donruss Signature Series. And back when it was Donruss, not Panini, or whichever company owns it now. I want to say Upper Deck, or maybe Panini. I don't know. But this is Donruss. It's numbered 86 out of 105, so a pretty short printed run. Great looking autograph, silver sticker, but it works out great with the card. He was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 1977, played for the Pirates from 46 to 1953, did spend 2 seasons with the Cubs, so he's got that going for him. And retired Pittsburgh Pirates, retired as number 4. So yeah, another great card. Really like this one. I think I actually picked this up way back when. I want to say it seems like it's a card that I would have picked up because when I was doing eBay auctions, and I had some cards I was bidding for from a seller, and kind of in the interest of combining shipping, I went through and looked at other stuff he had and probably got that for $5 or $10 just to add on to other cards I was buying. But I'm happy to have it. This one, next up, is Tony La Russa, and this one falls into, if he's in the Hall of Fame as a manager, I want his autograph card to be of him as a manager. And so here we are. This is 2000, I want to say 11, Topps Heritage, where they paid tribute to the 1962 design. Yeah, and great looking card. I love the set. I love the wood grain look of the card, similar to what they did in 1987. I'm a fan of that. I know not everyone loves it, but I absolutely love these. This one I got through the mail. I have this one, and then I also got a 1989 Topps card signed by him as well. But I'm trying that for my TTM set. So that one stays over there. This one will go for my Hall of Fame run. And I was able to kind of make this a Cardinals card because on his plaque he isn't wearing a particular team's hat. He could be for you could have him as an A as a Cardinal because he kind of was known for both teams. He won the World Series in 1989 with the A's, and then two of them in 06 and 11 with the Cardinals. Number was retired by both teams, I think, and he's in both teams' Hall of Fame for his work as a manager. So you could make an equal case for both teams, but since his Hall of Fame plaque doesn't feature a particular team's hat, then I have room to kind of make my own call there. So that's that one. Next up is another on-card autograph. I don't know if it was done TTM or in person, but I remember getting this card through a trade with another blogger a few years ago. He said he picked it up from his local card shop, so I don't know. I haven't really given it too much of an examine to determine its full authenticity, so I'm just going to kind of trust the people that I got it from. But yeah, Greg Maddux. Were inducted in 2014. Well, played for played for a few teams, but known mostly for his work time with the Braves and with the Cubs. He won the first of his 4 consecutive Cy Young Awards with the Cubs in 92, and then won 3 more in 93, 94, and 95 with the Braves, and then won the World Series in 95 for the Braves. So a good argument could be made that this should be a Braves card. But for one, I'm a Cubs fan, and so I'll always consider him part of the team. And two, his Hall of Fame plaque doesn't feature a team. His cap is blank, which in contrast to Andre Dawson made me think that they eventually changed their rules to allow the inductees to pick their teams. I know Tony La Russa, like I just talked about, Greg Maddux. I know Mike Mussina went in with a blank hat too. So he didn't want to pick between the Orioles and the Yankees, so he went in with a blank hat. So there's a certain amount of wiggle room. You can make an argument that this should be a Braves card, but it's my collection and I can do what I want. So there you go, Greg Maddux as a Cub. Next up, similar to Kiner, we got another Pirate, Bill Mazeroski. And this one I got because it looks really cool. The signature looks great. And I love players with a special, even if they don't have a full, now he's in the Hall of Fame, so he had a great career. But even if he didn't have the legendary notoriety of like a Mantle or a Mays, I like guys also that might just be known for one moment. And maybe that's kind of why I'm such a big pro wrestling fan too, is because it's always been said that pro wrestling is about moments. And so with Bill Mazeroski, it was the 1960 World Series when he hit at the, I think even still, I don't know if Joe Carter's was in Game 7, but I think this was the only walk-off home run to clinch a World Series in a Game 7. I don't know if Joe Carter's in the Game 7, so that might have been changed since then. Probably should have done a little more research, but that's all right. But yeah, he's known mostly for that moment, but had a pretty strong career throughout. Played for the Pirates for 1956 to 1972. Home run of Game 7 of 1960 for the walk-off. They also won the World Series in 1971, so he's a 2-time World Series champ. Yeah, and fantastic-looking signature. This is the one I'm going with. I do have another one from the Sweet Spot set. The different year, and most of the Sweet Spot cards have the autograph on baseball. This one is on a glove. But I like the other one. I think the signature stands out a little bit more. This one looks really cool. The idea of the glove leather is really cool. But that dark brown or medium brown with dark ink, it just doesn't stand out quite as much as blue ink on a white ball. So there you go. That's the one I'm going with. Next up, we've got Gaylord Perry. This one I got in person. I got it at a Cubs spring training game. For years, up until 2020, Fergie Jenkins would have his foundation set up to raise money at Cubs spring training games, and he would do that by hosting autograph signings. So by a bunch of former Major League players and stars, a few Hall of Famers here and there. But the one year in particular, Gaylord Perry was there. Usually, if I got one autograph of a player, I'd get a baseball, official Rawlings ball, signed in blue ink. But if I remember right, I want to say that I don't know if he gave them out or if he just gave it with a discount. But if you got an autograph, he'd let you pick a card to get signed. Or I want to say maybe it was like a certain amount of money for the autograph, and then you, for an extra $10 or whatever, you could get another card that he'd already signed from a binder that he had set up. And this is how I got that. So I got the ball signed, and then I got to pick this one out. And I think this is a perfect card for a Gaylord Perry spot in my collection for a couple of reasons. For one, his Hall of Fame plaque has him as a member of the San Francisco Giants. So there you go, early with the Giants. But also, what Gaylord Perry was known for was having a Hall of Fame career on so many different teams. And if I remember, I don't know if it was an old-timers game or an exhibition game or an all-star game, he wore a jersey, and I think most of the all-stars or the other players had a jersey from the team that they were with, either at the time or known for or whatever it was. But Perry had a jersey that was specially made that had a logo of each of the teams that he had played for in the past. So he had a jersey with like 8 or 9 team logos on it, which was great. He played for a total of 9 different teams. I think this card is from 1982 tops. At the time, he was playing for the Seattle Mariners. So it's perfect. It features him with multiple teams, but one of those teams is the team that he has featured on his Hall of Fame plaque. Works out great. Love that card. Looks awesome. And works out perfect. All right, next up, we have another Cub. Kind of the heart of the Cubs for those years is Ron Santo. Ron Santo was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2012 after technically being eligible for the first time in 1980. Now, he never got on with the writers, and even the Veterans Committee didn't vote him on. Even on years where he'd get the most votes from the committee, it wouldn't be enough to get the 75% to go in. And so it was one of those things where it kept being revisited. And finally, it was the 2012 Golden Era Committee that finally voted him in. The unfortunate thing was that this was 2 years after he passed away. So he himself had always wanted to go into the Hall of Fame, but never realized it while he was living. But he did get in. So the Hall of Fame did, I wouldn't want to say make it right, because if he had that much of a hard time getting in, there was an argument to be made that he didn't belong. Now, me being a Cubs fan, of course I'm biased. Of course I think he belongs. Of course I want him in there. But he got in. His wife accepted the plaque and gave his speech. And all was right in the world, so to speak. Lastly, I've got one more. And I mentioned him already. For one, with the multi-player card earlier. But then also that I had another one of his on-card autos. But this is one that I'm going to keep have for this part of the collection just because I like it. I like the look of it. And that would be Cubs legend Billy Williams. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in '87. 6-time All-Star, 1961 Rookie of the Year. Played most of the 60s with Ernie Banks and Ron Santo. And was elected to the Cubs Hall of Fame. His number 26 has been retired, and he does have a statue outside of Wrigley Field. I like this card just because it's something different. My favorite type of autograph is blue ink on a white surface, by far. But there's a certain part of me that really likes silver on top of black. And I just think this looks really cool. It's from Topps Cheater 1. And yeah, looks great. Love it. I want to eventually put all these into the magnetic one-touch holders that you saw a lot of those in, but I don't have the right size for this one. I have 35 point, I have 130 and 180. I think this is either going to be 70 or 100. But so got a little bit of work to do to organize these. For one, get them all in the same kind of case. But then two, to just find a place to either place to store them or a way to display them. And I'm not quite sure which way I'm heading with that or what I'm going to do with that, but none of this stuff has to be figured out right now. I can always wait and figure it out at a different time. But for now, that's what I've got. Yeah, and I think this is going to be a good focus. I'm going to do this for hockey as well, and there will be another video to come out where I go over that. And based on when I was really doing a lot of my collecting and a lot of my buying, I was more into hockey cards at that time. It was a period from about 2010 to somewhere around 2014. So I was buying a lot of hockey product then. So I certainly have more hockey than I do baseball. I think I'm going to try to even that out a little bit. So I'm not really going to try to pick one over the other because I love both sports equally. I love the history of both sports. I mean, I think the Americana involved with baseball's history, there's certainly more of it, and there's certainly more of a fondness to it. But I'm not really planning on picking one over the other. But I think I'm off to a good start. And I think a good focus or a good strategy would be to, for this year, the main focus will be to get these three inductees, this year's inductees. And so it's Andruw Jones, Jeff Kent, Carlos Beltran. It shouldn't be too difficult. Now I'm going to have to figure out, of course, with Carlos Beltran, I'll need to figure out where, and Jeff Kent, I suppose, too, maybe, figure out what team they're going to be inducted as. I imagine Jeff Kent will go in as a Giant. No question Andruw Jones should be going in as an Atlanta Brave. So, I mean, I can buy that card tomorrow and be pretty secure that is what's going to be on his hat. Beltran, I'm not sure. An argument can be made for the Kansas City Royals, where he started his career, spent a lot of years. He also had a pretty good run with the Mets. And although his time with the Astros was 2 years and not even consecutive 2 years, an argument could be made for that too. Of course, with that amazing postseason he had in, I think, 2005, where they went to the World Series and then ultimately lost, I think, to the Chicago White Sox. But he had a great run and ended up earning a pretty fat contract from the Mets because of that run. And then, of course, he won his World Series with the Astros in 2017. Now, there's a heavy amount of controversy around that World Series, so maybe they don't want to put that team on his plaque and draw attention to that. So I don't know. I would say either he goes in as a Met or a Royal. One of the two. But either way, I think that's a good way, like setting reasonable goals. So I don't want to say like, I'm trying to put 20 items into my collection, because I don't know if I'll end up doing that. I think when you look at things, you can kind of say that, well, it shouldn't. Their Hall of Famers are pretty affordable. Yeah, your Mantles and Mazes and Derek Jeter are going to be pretty expensive, but there's a lot of affordable ones like that Ralph Kiner I could probably get for $5 or $10. But at the same time, will I? And not in a way that I'm going to be flaky about it, but maybe I decide to have other areas that I'm focusing on too. I know that I'm trying to build certain sets, so maybe my set building takes up a little bit of collecting budget. Maybe my hockey autographs take up some of the collecting. I'm also a very opportunistic collector, so maybe an autograph signing comes up soon nearby that I want to put some money towards. So I think just setting my goal for my baseball autograph Hall of Fame collection for 2026, a reasonable, achievable goal will be to just add the 3 for this year. And if I come across more and I get them, then great. And if I don't, then that's fine too. But setting things that are reasonable and achievable. Let's go with at the end of the year, as long as I can say that I've added those 3 players in their specific teams, I think we're going to call it a win. Anyways, that's all for now. I've got some more content coming up. I think with the end of the month coming up, I've saved my January purchases to do it all in one video. So I'll definitely be doing that. And then either before that or after that, I'll be doing a video about my hockey autograph collection. And I'll either do that as one video or maybe split it up depending on how long it takes. I certainly wasn't planning on talking about, 10 or 12 cards for 30 minutes, yet here we are. So anyways, that's it for now. See you all next time. Until then, stay adequate.